We should be good to go now. All righty. Okay. Well, listen, guys, if you're just now joining us, I'm very happy that you did join us. Thanks for investing a little time with myself and Asmaa, my guest. We're looking forward to a great session today. And we're going to talk about how to soar your personal brand despite imposter syndrome. All of us, including myself, we suffer from this. So I'm excited about talking about this subject with you today, Asmaa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Rollis. I'm so excited to be here. And what an important subject to talk about.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, those of you who are just chiming in, let us know what city or state, what country you're dialing in from. We'd love to hear from you, and love to know where you are on your journey. So, where is it that you are on your journey? Are you someone who has been putting your name out there quite a bit, and you're just not sure what to do next, or perhaps are you one of those who've been somewhat hesitant to put yourself out there? So we want to talk about that and help us kind of work through some of those issues, and as well as how you can expand and grow on what you're already doing. So we look forward to all of your comments. Let us know again where you're coming from, what city, what state, country, and we'll get right into the material without any further delay. There's one thing I do want to just change really quickly. 1 second here. I want to remove. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. So listen, Asmaa, so glad to have you on the show today to talk about this important subject. Thank you for being on today.
Oh, my pleasure. Very happy to be here.
What do you think is the main thing that holds people back? What is it that creates this imposter syndrome that people feel today?
It's all about the stories that we tell ourselves. It's all about that chatter, that ongoing chatter that we have within us. It's really an internal condition that all of us have. And it's really that story and really believing that story instead of shifting it that really put people like in a paralyzed situation that's not allowing them like to move forward or put themselves more out there in the world.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone who I have on the show has a story. You're putting yourself out there now. You're on video. You're on live video right now. Tell us about your journey. Kind of, how did you experience imposter syndrome, and how did you personally get over it?
Oh, what a great question. Um, yeah, so in terms of my own story, I really felt it mostly when I decided to slow down a business that was going really well for me because I realized at that moment that I was leading it from my zone of excellence, my zone of competence, and not my zone of genius. And so I decided to go into this inner journey and inner discovery to know who I am and what I want to create, what are the values, what I want to bring. Because what I realized from that business is that I was feeling unfulfilled and that something was missing. And I was always like thriving and everything was forceful versus like being easy. And so by going into this inner journey and I uncovered what is my zone of genius, what I want to do, which is creating more transformation, which is like allowing people to wake up through their stories and getting them to be out there. That's what I literally felt the imposter syndrome the most, because it was beyond just a job that I was competent at. It was also going and having a purpose. Like I was clear and aligned with my soul purpose and I was ready to tell the world. And it was the moment I was ready to tell the world, which means I needed to be even more open, more vulnerable, that I really like felt the imposter syndrome. And the main thing that allowed me to go past it was to set up calls like this and be
Mm.
open to share my story. Because if you set up a time with me today at noon, we're going to have a live, then I'm going to show up, right? So I'm bringing my other competencies of like bringing like high level type of work into a conversation. But this time, here I am sharing my own story. And so putting myself more out there, putting myself on the stage so I can be able to share my story, so I can be able to be vulnerable and open and learning within my own chatter that I am just doing my best in this moment and I am sharing what I want to share in this moment. And if this impacts people, then that's great. Whether that's one person or that's 100%. right? It doesn't matter who, as long as whatever I just shared in this moment is helping someone. And so even reducing the level of impact into, if I can only help one person, that's enough for me, and be able to be more open and more vulnerable. That really what helped me, really like going with it, like in small little chunk and small little steps, and like
Yes.
exploring and discovering myself as I go.
I love it. I love it. In fact, this it deserves that because really that's what it's all about, right? Even if you can help one person, it makes all the difference. So appreciate you sharing that. And one of the things you mentioned, I think that also it struck me too. You said that what helped you kind of get out of your comfort zone was you set appointments. You basically collaborated or decided to collaborate with someone, and that helped you to kind of get out of it. Did I catch the right thing? Is that what you felt kind of helped you with that?
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my favorite quote that one of my mentor told me one day is like, when in doubt, focus out. And so
Ah,
And so I was like, yes, every time I am sitting with myself and finding all the wrong things about me, or the way I just did this video, the way I just wrote this, or whatever I did, just like, it is not about me. It is not about me. My life is not about me. It's about other people. So who can I focus on today? Who can I help? Who can I serve? Who I can support? And so for me, like even the word visibility didn't work with me. Like I had my coach like, yeah, I want you to be more visible. I want you to be more visible. I was like, there's something with the word visibility that doesn't work for me. And it may be the case with other people, and other people that love that word. But for me and the way I am, that word didn't work for me because I connected it to being selfish and it's all about me.
mm-hmm.
So I shifted that word myself into connection. All I am doing is connecting
Mm.
and sharing,
Oh, I like that.
right?
Yes, connection. Very
Right?
good. Yeah,
Yeah, connection and share. And then I was like, yes, I love connecting. Like right now, I love connecting
yeah,
with your rollers. I love connecting with your audience. And I am sharing what I'm learning, what I've learned, what are my lessons, right?
yes.
And when we connect that to a personal brand, which a lot of people are afraid of, the moment you share your story with me, I'm not going to find holes in your story. It's your story.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's a great
it's
point.
it's your own, right? It's your own
Yeah.
story. So all you're doing is that you are connecting with me heart to heart, and you are, instead of going from your head and telling me the reasons why I should be doing something, you are connecting with me from your heart, from your own story. So I'm seeing you in a different level. I am
Yes.
seeing you in a deeper level, and that's how we connect. That's how we are able to focus out, how we're able to be like, how can I help more people like this person? Or you
Yes.
realize while sharing your story that you gave a breakthrough to that other person,
Yes. Yes. Very much. And
right?
speaking of connection, we have already coming in. We have Miss Janelle Harris. Welcome. We
Hi.
have. Do you know Janelle?
No,
Okay.
but
Okay.
we'll
We
be
know her
friends.
now. Hi, Janelle.
See, I'm
and
connected with everybody
there
already.
we see. We're already connecting. We have Gwen Chambers is here. So she says, "Happy Monday from Houston." Hello, Gwen. And of course, we have Joanne. She works with us. She's in the Philippines. We love having Joanne on the team. So thank you for all of you. Any questions as you have them, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will be referring to the chat and recognizing any point that resonates with you. Let us know, and of course, add your points to the conversation as well, because we all are here, as Asma said, to connect with each other. I love that. In fact, I'm going to give this for connection. This is all about connection. So this is for the whole connection word. I like that. Another thing you mentioned was genius zone. Tell me about this
Mhm.
genius zone. I like that. That's a nice little term. I like that.
Yeah. So in one of my program, what I do the most is I help people uncover their zone of genius. And that's always like in the whole program, that's like their favorite session. Like
Yeah.
it's just so great to see that. So there are like four zones that have been identified in the amazing book, The Big Leap, that I love a lot. And we talk about the zone of incompetence. And that zone of incompetence is when you are forcing yourself to do something you're not good at, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, if you ask me to do accounting right now, it's going to be my zone of incompetence. Doesn't mean I cannot do it,
Right.
but it's going to be my zone of incompetence, right? It's going to take
Yes.
me more time to do it. And then from there, you have your zone of competence. And that's something that you work really hard for, you're getting the degrees and you're getting into this good level where you are good at it, right? So it's your zone of competence. But you always need to start reading about it, learn from it, and keep going,
Yes.
right? And then after that, you have your zone of excellence. And your
Ooh.
zone of excellence is something where you are really, really great at and you are able to do it and you're seeing a lot of success in it. Here's the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody stays in their zone of excellence because they don't think there's something beyond it. So for me, I realized 3 years ago that marketing and branding was my zone of excellence and not my zone of genius. And when I start
Mm.
reading a little bit more about Zone of Genius, through my training on appreciative inquiry and emotional intelligence, where like I bring groups together, we try to define the collective strength of a group. While doing that, I was like, wow, that is very interesting. I wonder what are my superpowers? I wonder what are my strengths? What are the things that I do so naturally that I don't even realize that they are my superpowers? Because I know I'm good at marketing and at branding is my zone of excellence. I have proofs, but there's definitely something in that realm that I am doing that is so natural to me that I'm not able to see it. So only when I'll be
Ah.
asking that question to other people that they're going to be able to reflect back to me, this is the strength I see in you, Asmaa. This is the superpower I see in you, Asmaa. And so through that journey, through doing those type of exercises and having those conversations with different people, I realized that my zone of genius is transformation.
Ooh.
I,
Oh, very nice.
it's Yes. So really, so I was like, whoa, okay, I can really transform people really fast. I can really help them align. And so I was like, how can I use this superpower of mine that is transformation, rapid transformation, and be able to bring it into my work? How can I bring that? If I was like what I tell my clients, sometimes I go to companies and they invite me to create my superpower activity. So there's an activity that I create with sales team, marketing team, and everybody. I call it superpower activity, which is
Ah.
exactly the same thing. People end up recognizing each other's superpowers. And there's this beautiful deep connection that happens in that moment because you have someone, a colleague of yours, that is reflecting back to you what is the strength they see in you. So you
Ah,
see, like the
yes.
level of connection is higher and the level of depth of what happens there and the appreciation, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel appreciated, right? And so by doing that, that's what I realized. Like, how can I then bring more of that rapid transformation in the way I am creating my service offerings? And for my clients, when they have a team, I ask them, once people identify that zone of genius of theirs, they are natural at, how can they add more of that role, that type of work in their day to day?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
research shows that if you work on your zone of genius for 10 minutes a day, your level of engagement, your level of energy, like will skyrocket,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay, so let me ask you
Right?
this. So, how
Yes.
do we find out what our zone of genius is? What are your top couple of tips on how we find out what is that zone of genius?
Yes. Well, there are a few ways to do it. So one of the ways is really to, I usually tell my clients to just scan your day or scan your week and identify the things that you do that gives you energy, right?
Mm,
So that will be one. So what is the thing that you do that gives you energy, gets you excited, and what are the things that drains you? And there may
okay.
be a lot of tasks that you do throughout the day. So when I was leading my marketing and branding agency, I had that list in front of me, a big line in the middle, what energizes me, what drains me. And I'll be like, negotiating contracts, drain. Oh, coaching this person, high, right? Doing this, high, right? Speaking, high.
Yes.
Like, and I was
Yes.
like really starting to scan that. So that was like the first level. It's just you're scanning like the energy that you are feeling throughout the day. The second thing is for you to identify at what point do you go into a flow that you completely forget what time it is. You totally forget
Ooh,
like if you've been there
yes.
for 5 minutes
Yes.
or 3 hours, right? How many
Yes.
times that happened to you, Rollis? I'm sure when you're working on all this video tech,
Yeah,
you're like
yeah.
gone, right?
That's good. I like
Um,
that.
yeah, and it's people don't realize that. It's like, wow, when I'm in the flow doing something, and sometimes it has nothing to do with work. right? Like I will ask, I remember like I was working with one of my private clients, and she was like, I'm having a hard time like finding work in this industry and things like that. And I said, what do you love to do? And we start talking, and she said, I love cooking. Like that's why I'm creative, that's why I'm in my flow, that's why I'm doing something amazing. I'm like, great. So you want to be in this industry to create events, why don't you create an event where you are cooking for people, bringing them together and having these deep meaningful conversations, and people will pay you
Mm-hmm.
for that evening.
Yes.
And it was, she couldn't conceive that because she's like, what, I can? I'm like, yes, you can. I can be paid to do that. Like, yes, you can. Like, everything is possible.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the moment you connect it to your own zone of genius, what you do so naturally and this flow, like that's what like bring it the best. So I'll say those will be the two questions
Mm.
to ask yourself. Definitely, the book, The Big Leap, have more questions that you can ask. But the third thing I'll say is after is sending an email to friends, families, colleagues, previous bosses, and basically ask them, what is that one thing that I do so
Oh,
naturally
yes.
that really set me apart from everybody and I do it really well?
Ooh, I like that.
And
Okay, I gotta give you this now. I love that one. That's a great one. Oh
it is,
yes,
it is. And it's so beautiful and so humbling when you start getting the answers.
yes.
Like, it's just so interesting. I have one of my clients, she asked her dad, and it's just like I could not believe how much my dad was proud of me until I had that
Wow.
conversation with him, you know. And so, and I was like, those are very important conversations to have. Why are we always focused on what's not working?
Yeah. Okay, so you hit on something. Okay, so this may help. I think this may help anybody who's watching. Okay, if you're struggling right now, you feel kind of down and low about yourself, and maybe you're looking for a certain kind of work and you hadn't found it, or your business is not going that well, and you're like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Right? Sometimes one of the first things is, what am I doing wrong? But instead of doing that, please take Asma's advice and ask former colleagues, relatives, all those folks who really know you well, what is it that I do extremely well? I think that would be, I think that would really help someone get out of that really tough spot. And another thing I want to say and ask you is, before we can even figure out our zone of genius, should we also think about what we're already excellent at? Because I know you mentioned those four stages.
Hmm.
Or do you find that sometimes clients pull their zone of genius in an area that they weren't even excellent at in their minds?
Well, the interesting thing about that question you just asked me, Rollis, is that your zone of genius is already happening throughout what you've been doing your whole life. You gravitate towards it without even realizing it, right? So maybe your zone of genius, role is maybe it's connection. So you're really good at
Mm-hmm.
creating this deep connection with people. So maybe if you look at your whole job, like, oh my God, I was in HR and now I'm doing interviews with people. Like, right. So there's something that you are already doing that is already there. For me, it's definitely 100% transformation and connection with self, connection with others. And now with my spirituality, connection with the divine. And so for me, it was always like, I was always doing something different that was related to connection. So I was like, I had a master's degree in communication, and then I was doing marketing, and it's all about connection, connecting brands to their audiences, right? But then
Right.
the more I was connecting more to my zone of genius, I was like, oh, I like connecting people with themselves. Like that's, I don't want to go horizontal now. I want to go deep, like how I can connect people with
Ah,
themselves,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so there are things that you do that you've learned from very early age that's always been part of you and part of who you are. And it's just a matter for you to put lights into it, like bring that awareness into it. So for you, then after that, you'll be able to connect all the dots. Like now
Yeah.
I know why I love doing this. Then now I know why I love to travel. Now I know why I want to help in be in the justice world and like help like the less fortunate, etc., etc. And so seeing it from that place, and also like seeing like how much struggle and how much ease you are doing or you are feeling throughout the day or throughout what you are doing. Because I am a big prominent of feminine leadership, and it's all about helping people or organizations to connect to feminine traits and feminine principles
Mm-hmm.
that we've only considered negative or weak or not good. But now with everything's happening in the world,
Yeah.
those are the principles that needs to be at the top of how an organization is run. It's all about those principles of connection and innovation and creativity and bringing like more purpose, like have a shared purpose
Yeah.
together and bringing all of that together, right? And so there's that important connection then that happens. And so when you are looking in all of that within your own different zones of where you are, you're like, do I feel at ease? It's like learning how to scan your body and learn how to scan your own emotion. Where you talked earlier about if your energy high, your energy is low, but also maybe you just got an email from someone and your heart contracted. And it's funny, before in my business, when my heart was contracted, we're like, that's business. Yeah, okay, let's keep going. I'm
Right.
doing this. It's business. It doesn't need to be fun. It doesn't need to be easy all the time, right? But now that I learned how to scan that, I was like, wait, why did I contract it? What is that feeling? What is it about it? Is that gonna involve more of my zone of incompetence and my zone of competence, or is it more of my zone of excellence? And even if you want to go deeper and
Yes.
higher, then you start talking about a zone of genius, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the key things I tell people, like when you want to overcome your imposter syndrome, is to really get to know yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
And get to know yourself better in a sense that focus on your strengths, amplify your strengths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Because often
Because when
we're programmed to focus on our weaknesses, and that we don't want to do that. We want to, like you're saying, you focus on the strength. I love that.
Yeah, like when I teach like strength management methodologies, like one of my favorite quotes says that the moment you focus on your strengths in your organization to a point that your weaknesses become irrelevant.
Yes, yes, I like that.
Right? So there's a whole conversation that happens. The way you reframe your questions is the way you reframe the questions to yourself. And so when people like wanting to identify their zone of genius, or I wanted to create like even go beyond and like start developing their own personal brand, it's really identifying like, who am I? What are my motivations? What do I want to create in the world? What are my strengths? What are my superpowers? And then asking other people to feed you into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's like, how might I create a better world? Right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
when you start asking a question like, how might we or how might I do something? Like you're already opening yourself to what opportunities are out there in the world versus sitting in this place of imposter. I feel like a fraud. I won't be able to internalize my accomplishments to date. They're going to recognize that I am not good enough.
Yeah.
And then you start like shrinking yourself and shrinking your purpose. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. In fact, one of the things you said really resonated with one of my former high school classmates, Asma. That's Claude Hazley. Good to see you, Claude. So I've known Claude since I was a little boy. That's amazing. He's on here. Thank you very much. And then we also have Joanne. She says connection to the divine. She loves that point you made. So thank you for that. Okay, so I have a question for you, and I have a question for everybody who's watching to answer this question. Okay. Would you rather get paid 2 weeks of paid vacation each year, or get 6 weeks of paid vacation per year, but not be allowed to travel anywhere? Now imagine if the company says, okay, we're going to pay you to go 2 weeks anywhere in the world you want to go. Okay, 2 weeks all paid. Or they say, you know what, you can get 6 weeks, but you can't go anywhere. Which one would you choose? So
I'm sure you're looking at me. I
yeah,
should be the one answer.
right. No, you should. I want you to answer. Then I want the folks in the comments to answer. So I want you to ask them. I want you to answer it first. What would you do?
Oh, I'll definitely go with the 2 weeks. Like, I miss my friends. I miss my masterminds. I miss my community. All of them are in the US. And I'm like, I've been here in Canada, in my little town that I love, my little island, I should call it, my little island of Vancouver Island, which is gorgeous here. It's beautiful here. But like my tribe, the one that I vibe with, the one I want to hug nonstop. Like, yeah. So I'll say the 2 weeks plus unlimited hugging, and then I'll go for that one.
Oh, I like that. So now,
as long as we can hug.
So tu parles français because they speak French in that island?
Oui, je parle
Ah,
français.
je parle un peu le français. Okay, so we got also Joanne. She said she just noted that Julie Olson. Oh, good. Dr. Julie Olson's joining us as well. So thank you. Oh, and Julie says she'll take 2 weeks and I'm off. And Claude says he'll take the 2 weeks. Okay, very good. Joanne said she said she'll take 2 weeks. I'm going to do it too. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. I will take the 2 weeks to go anywhere I want rather than just stay here for 6 weeks. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay, so going back to our just back into our subject again here. Um, I love what you said earlier about focusing on the strengths, and if someone is struggling right now, struggling in the sense that trying to figure out what are my strengths. I'm not sure what I'm good at. What do you suggest to do? Do you just get in front of a piece of paper? Or you just start writing stuff down? Are you doing what we said earlier about do we ask relatives and friends what they think we're strong at, or do we do a self inventory? What step would you take first on that?
I would say a mix of everything you just shared, but like the way I see it is imposter syndrome is not a private feeling, it's a public feeling. Because it propagates in everything that you do, the way you write your blogs, the way you write your emails, the way you apply for jobs, the way you talk to your colleagues or to your boss. And so even if it is a private feeling, like because that's the chatter you're having with yourself, it is still propagates everywhere in the way you are and the way you show up. And so for me, it always starts with connection with yourself. It always starts with you first and creating that self-awareness, right?
Okay.
Because you already have all the answers. You already know so much about yourself. Like the gold is already within you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the lens, it's the filter that you are putting into that information that's really taming it or expanding it. So you're either in a state of contraction when you believe in all those old stories and deficit bias conversations versus like putting my filter on and be like still looking at the same information while looking at it from this place of abundance and expansiveness, right? And
Right.
so for me, like it always starts like with ourselves, because the way we speak to ourselves is our conversation with the universe as well. And so for me, words really
Ah.
truly matters, because that's the way you're telling other
Yes.
people how they should treat you, even in your behavior. And this is also what the universe or the energy, anything you believe in, like also perceive you, because that's what you are saying. Because we say like when you are saying a word, like kind of like you are putting like a spell into whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
And so having that inner chat, that inner conversation is very key. And so it starts with reframing your own questions to yourself, right? It's reframing and really going into this reflection, because we learn when we think about the experience, not the experience itself. So the moment you reflect on
Mm.
an experience is the moment you are learning. So if someone shows up and they hear us talk today, that's amazing. But it will be even better if they take the time to reflect on
Yes.
what stood out from the conversation.
Yes.
And then that's when really the transformation starts to happen. And so starting to reframe the question we ask ourselves and starting journaling about it. Like you can ask yourself, what are my strengths? What is the thing that I've been doing my whole life that I'm really good at, that I am the happiest when I am doing it? Where I'm like super joyful. I'm in the flow. Like I totally
Yes.
forget about time and space when I'm doing that. And it could be related to work or it can be completely not related to work. And that's
Yes.
totally okay. Right. And then after going and asking that question to other people, because doing it in that order puts you in a place of empowerment versus from a
Yes.
place of here I am sitting and waiting on other people to tell me who I am and what I'm doing.
I love that.
You
Let me
see,
just
like,
check in with I'm gonna check with the audience, make sure they like what you just said. Oh, yep, they love it. That was great. That was a good clip. I like that. Those questions we ask ourselves, and then we ask those who are in our circle, our trusted circle, as well. So that's great. Okay, so I have a question for you. And I want the folks who are watching to answer the same thing. And if you don't mind, tell me why. Okay. So, which month of the year do you think would best describe your personality? So I want you to answer first, Asma, and then those in the comments, I want you to also answer. And also why? Why is that?
I love that. What a beautiful question. Um, Interestingly enough, I'll say, huh, I'll say June.
Oh, June. Okay. Why
Um,
June?
yeah, there's something interesting about spring and summer and being just right in between and of the cusp of um, that for me, I love inner discovery and transformation, right? And I truly value the days when I am off and when I'm sad and I'm down, because that shows me that, oh, hi, welcome, my shadows. What do you have for me here? What is my curriculum
Right.
that I need to work on for the next year, right? Or the next month, right?
Right.
And so being in that place of like transformation throughout the spring and then really shining during the summer,
Oh
right? So it's really that
yeah.
cast, like what you're seeing, the light is coming. And the way I see the summer is like I am here to shine to other people and share with them what I've learned. So
Yes.
that way their
Yes.
journey is shorter
I
in
like
order to
that.
get to where they want to get,
I like
right?
that. Yeah. So Claude says June, summer. I don't know why. It seems like everything happens for me. She says, and he says she has my same month. So he's with
Nice.
you on that. He also says
Yay,
that
Claude.
he's happy when he's blogging. He loves blogging. So that's good for you, Claude. So he already knows one of his strengths. Um, for me personally, I'll tell you, you got me on this June thing. I was going to say August because I have some really good memories associated with August. August is when my wife and I got married. We've been married 21 years, and we usually do our anniversary trips in August, and so we've got great trips. I can think about just trip after trip we had. Were wonderful trips in August. So I just love August. But I like what you said about June because from the goals and things that we're trying to accomplish, there's still lots of promise, right? That we're going to still hit a lot of those goals. Whereas once you get towards like August, September, now you're looking at fourth quarter. Whether you're there or not there is there's not you're going to be able to change some things, but you're not going to be able to change it drastically, right? Once you start to get later in the year. So I think from like just the memory standpoint, I think I'm going to go with August. But if I'm looking at towards like growth and if I'm looking at things from a year to year basis, I guess I'm still going to go with June with you. So thank you.
Nice.
Julie says
No
June, it's
problem.
it's time to have fun and people seem to be open and growing and it's hot, but not so hot. It's irritating. That's true, Julie.
That
Yes.
is so true.
Joanne says December, full of positive vibes. That's good too.
Yes. A
Okay,
lot of gratitude during the month of December.
so we've spent a lot of time talking about getting over imposter syndrome. I'm glad we were able to deliver that to our audience. I think that was good. Let's move on to soaring your personal brand. So once you figure out what your genius zone is, and you want to stay in that zone, how do you start to build that personal brand? And you know what? Before we talk about building, why is it even important? Why is it important to even build a person? Because a lot of people, in fact, I know very close to me in my circles, they do not see the need to try and build a personal brand. They want to just build a company brand. And they're like, I'm not sure why we even need to even be doing this. Why don't we just build a company brand? Why do we need to waste time on a personal brand? So tell me why we should do it first and then what we should do to start building it, please.
Yeah, definitely. So the world has shifted. We all know it. We all experienced it. And like Simon Sinek said it so well, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Ooh, that's true. Yes.
And people connect with you in a heart level as why do you do what you do. If you ask me why you do what you do, like I'm gonna go like like telling you, and I'm gonna connect it to my story in Morocco when I was born there and women had no voice and we couldn't speak, we couldn't say anything. That at the age of 17 is like, yeah, in order for you to be successful is to get married and have a husband who's gonna take care of you. And I was like, hell no. And I just like left all the way to Canada, got a scholarship from the government, like like studied hard so I can get out,
Right.
so I can leave, right? And it was all about that. And then I started doing marketing and business and all of that. And I got to this point, just like, yeah, I'm successful. I have a very successful marketing branding agency. But then I was like, shit, I am not fulfilled. Why am I not fulfilled? And the reason for that is because I wanted to prove to like Morocco that I can do it, right? And then the moment I was like, whoa, wait, I don't need their validation anymore. Like, let's go within, let's discover who I am and what I want to create. That's what I was able to tap into, the beauty of flow and ease, and how to really bring this feminine energy. And that I was like, how I can take that even deeper. I can help women tap into that, but how I can take it to the next level. And I was like, oh, I can bring those feminine traits and feminine principles into organizations. So that way they can be focusing on strength, where they can create a constellation of strength within their organization. And that way conversations are more expensive and people will be co-creating together and creating a shared value. You see how that
Ah,
went?
yes, yes.
I just
Wow.
shared with you my brand story right now,
Yeah,
and
you
it came
did.
very, very organically, right? And so
Yeah.
when people hear that story, when people hear what's behind why you do something, or when you take the time to know it for yourself, people's like, they will lean in. They're like,
Yeah.
I want to know more. I want you to
Yeah.
be my friend.
Yeah,
Like, can we
absolutely.
connect? I love what you're doing. It's very connected to what I want to do. So the conversations start to become different and a deeper level. And I built my personal brand even when I was looking for jobs. And like when I came to Canada, I was immigrant. I was a woman. I was from Africa. I just got my double master's degree, but that scared people out. Literally, I put my master's degree at the bottom of my resume, super small font,
Mm.
because that was scaring people out. So I was like, great, everything I worked until today to be able to get the career I want to create, like that scares people out. So it's like put that completely low. And so I was like, okay, how can I create a personal brand for myself? So I created a website, which was a one pager, which basically was my resume then. And just doing it in a way that showed my personality. It was very colorful. It's like, here are the different
Mm.
things. And so I started sending people to that page. I had a business card that was just my name. I was like looking for a career in marketing, right? And just give it to people, right? Because I believed in my brand. I believed what I stood for. I believed in my values. And here I am wanting to share my brilliance, my genius, my passion with maybe an organization, maybe with a cause or anything like that, right? And
Yeah.
so now, because of COVID, people are craving connection even more. And people now are buying more product or services from what other people are saying about the products and the services. Like it's getting into this level. It's like, how can you help me? How can you support me? And can you take the time to listen to me when I'm talking to you? I'm not just a number for you. Like, this is who I am, and this is my story, and I'm connecting to your story and things like that.
Yeah.
And so building a personal brand right now becomes so important, whether you work for a company or whether you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And even companies needs to encourage their own employees to create their personal brand beyond
Ooh.
just the business,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Okay, that
And I
deserves
love how
this.
Google does it,
I love
because
this.
Google does it best, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of things about why a personal brand is important. But unfortunately, people will connect personal brand to, oh, it's just about me and being selfish and who am I to show off? And but those are not the right questions to ask yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know,
Like,
if we think about it, there's a lot of people that we know on social media that are big names that work for a company, but they still take it upon themselves to put their personal brand out there. Let me ask you a question. So I'm in the recruiting space, right? So in the recruiting space, it's all about folks, you know, when they're trying to find a job, they go in these job tracking systems and apply for a job, and then and hope and wish that this recruiter will call them back. That's typically how it works. They typically don't know who the recruiters are that are working on the requisitions, and for there's a lot of reasons why the recruiters are hesitant to put their names out there, and some of the reasons are of course they're valid reasons, but whatever those reasons are, Do you think it's important for a recruiter that works for a company to try and put themselves out with this personal brand thing you're talking about so that others can know more about who that recruiter is, and perhaps the next time they're looking for a job they might even think about that recruiter even before they think of a specific role or company?
100%. And as soon as you said that, I thought about two people that I haven't talked to them for 12 years, but they have built their personal brand on LinkedIn, and they reached out to me and we had different conversations when they were like, you may be a very great candidate to one of future jobs. They never helped me get any job because I was always busy or working already for someone else. But I remember them. Why did I remember two? If you ask me right now, any recruiter, do you know? I will really think about those two people. I don't even remember their first name, but I remember clearly the way they made me feel when I met them, or what I discovered when I was reading their profiles. Because they put themselves out there, they were able to make me feel a certain way, that
Yeah.
I'm going to be taken care of, that they're going to have the best jobs for me and things like that. So they are staying on top of mind even 12 years later.
That's a perfect example. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that.
right?
Yeah. Thank you. So I think, yeah, our audience likes that too.
I love this clapping. It's so fun.
Well, since I don't have an audience, a physical audience for you, I got to give you a virtual one, right?
Oh no, that's perfect. I was
Yeah.
literally just in a Tony Robbins virtual event, and exactly they had all the clapping, all the
Oh, did
woohoo,
they
like the
really?
whole shebang.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so perfect.
I have another question for you here. Um, would you rather, after discovering you left your wallet at home, have to panhandle transportation money to get home, or have to hitchhike? And I want those in the comments to answer the same question. What would you do? Which option would you pick? So, Asma, what option would you pick? Would you, after discovering you've left your wallet at home, have to panhandle transportation money to get home, or have to hitchhike?
Can I have a third option?
There is no third option. Sorry.
No third option.
You can always try and find a workaround
uh,
if you want.
yeah, I'll say yeah, hitchhike with someone. Because again, it's back to there is a reason why maybe I left my wallet today, and let me discover what is the opportunity that lies for me today here, that I may end up meeting someone through hijacking. And maybe sometime even like in the bus, whoever I sit with on the bus that day is the right person I needed to talk to. So again, going from this place of reframing something that some people say that's negative, damn it, I forgot my wallet, versus like, I wonder how might this day go by with all the amazing opportunities that will show up for me today, because I'll be looking at it in a different lens because I don't have my wallet, my safety,
Right.
and I'll be taking different decisions today that will allow me to be more present.
Now, I know a lot of folks here probably were thinking similarly, and they may say, well, you know what? I don't need my wallet because I got my phone. I can do Apple Pay or something like that on my phone. Is that
Yeah,
what you were
that too.
thinking? Is that what you were thinking too?
I was not thinking that at all. I was really going literally like you forgot your wallet, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
just
Well, that
like
was good. That was a
how you
very good
can be.
answer. Yeah, I thought you did great.
Yeah.
And I think what I would do, I would panhandle for the opportunity to use someone else. I'm assuming I don't have my phone either. I would panhandle for the opportunity to use someone else's phone. For me, that's currency too, because if they allow me to use their phone, then I can call someone who I trust and see if they can help me out. And I'd call my wife. So I think that's probably what I would do. But if I had a choice between the two, I think I'd panhandle personally. Okay, let's see what they say out in the comments here. Claude, I think Claude agrees with you. Joanne says the same. She's, I love that. There's always a reason for everything. Yeah, there is a reason. There is a reason. Okay, well, very good. Now, as far as personal brand, we talked about the reason why we should build a personal brand, and we talked about some practical things you did, like you created a website, which was really cool. Um,
Mhm.
and most people don't do that. So one thing that I think we could do is, since we're all on this same platform, we're on this LinkedIn platform right now. How would you suggest that? Well, how would that play? Would you, if you had to do it all over again right now, 2021, would you create your own website, or would you just beef up your LinkedIn profile, or do both?
During that time, my LinkedIn profile was definitely highly optimized. I remember the days when I used to get an email from LinkedIn and telling me my profile was one of the most viewed profiles, and it will send me my little
Oh,
virtual
wow.
medal.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they don't do that anymore. But in 2006, 2008, I used to get those emails. They were a lot of fun. But I knew SEO because I was in marketing. I created my brand story and my about, and so yeah, people will look for different things in marketing, and then they will find me. Another big thing that I've done on my LinkedIn was getting a lot of recommendations.
Ah,
So anybody who
yes.
I ever worked with, whether it was volunteer work or I coached them for free or anything, I learned from like millionaires and billionaires, like you need to always have this exchange. Like you should just not be giving all the time. There just needs to be a minimum of an exchange. So that
Right.
way you feel that you're giving and you want to give more versus getting into this place at some point of resentment, which a lot of people feel after a certain time.
Ooh, that's a real
And
one.
so I was like, yeah, and that's a real thing. It's true. And so like whoever I volunteered with or I helped someone or anything, I would just send them a note like, hey, I really enjoyed working with you on this project or things like that. I would love if you can like draft me like 2-3 sentences about why you enjoyed working with me, why do you think people should hire me, why do you think I should be working with someone, things like that. I already started lately in my, and you can all do it, I started writing it in my surveys after I finish my coaching programs.
Hmm.
I have 3 of them. And really now I start asking a question to everyone is like one of the questions like, what is the superpower that you see in your coach, Asma? And it's very interesting the answers that I get
I
because
like
they
that
went
one.
through yeah, I really love, and I love reading the answer. Some like one woman, she just replied to me yesterday and she said, you're a magician. Like just one word, magician. I was like, whoa, what? Okay, very interesting. And so you don't know how you make people feel. You don't know
Yeah.
what they see in you because their transformation is different. And
Yes.
so you can add that like in your things. But getting testimonials on your LinkedIn for is very important. Optimizing your profile to put the keywords in your industry so that way people can find you
Yes.
when they are looking for something specific is important. Building your network, like really connecting with people and
Hmm.
being more active. Like you are super active. You're like my go-to person when I want to show someone, do you want to be active on LinkedIn? Like connect with Rollis is the guy to follow, right?
Am I overactive? Am
Um,
I overactive? Tell me. Tell me. Am I?
you know what? I will say that you are not because your audience is loving the frequency that you're doing things.
Okay.
So people always ask me, what should be my frequency on Facebook or LinkedIn? It varies. It depends on your audience. If you
Mm.
are in that sweet spot where they're still engaging with you,
Hmm.
then you're not too much, you're not completely gone. So do whatever works for your audience, right? So if
Right.
for you is doing 2-3 lives a week on LinkedIn and everywhere else and it works and your audience is engaging, they're present, then perfect, right?
Okay.
It always go back again to it's not about me, it's about them. What do you want more of? Like, they want more of
Right.
me, the less of me, what type of content and things like that, right? It's always having that conversation, focusing out, because the moment we focus out, then our imposter
Yes.
syndrome won't take over
I love
again,
that. I love that.
right?
Focusing out. Okay. So I have a question for you. This is a never have I ever question for you. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay,
All right.
cool.
So, and think about this as in your adult life, not as a little kid. This is as an adult. I'm going to ask you the question, and I'm going to try and guess if you have or you've never. And then maybe the audience can help me. Audience, can you help me and let me know if you have or you've never? As an adult, have you ever run through a sprinkler? Oh, she's got a straight face. Wow, she's good. She's got a straight face. Okay. All right. So, folks in the comments, do you think that Asma has ever run through a sprinkler as an adult? I'm a little bit unsure about this. I'm gonna say I think you've got that part of your personality, but I don't know that you've actually done it since you've been an adult. I'm gonna say no, not as an adult. Claude says yes. Claude says he thinks you have, and he has apparently as well as an adult. And I actually know that I have for sure. And Gwen loves your point about focus out. By the way, Asma, she loves that point. Okay, so I'm in suspense. We're in suspense. Oh, but by the way, Joanne says never. She doesn't think you. She doesn't think you have. Oh, and Julie's asking intentionally. Yes, intentionally. Has asthma ever run through a sprinkler? What do you think, Dr. Olson, Julie? And also tell us about yourself as well. And and Gwen says yes, you have, and if you haven't, you will soon. Okay, so we're all we're all in anticipation here. Have you never, or have you never run through a sprinkler as an adult?
Not yet.
Okay, I was right. I was right. Okay, and those of you who said who said yes, you've won. Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
as we're winding down
So
here,
you saw my poker face,
yeah,
right?
that
I
was
had to.
good. That was
It's like,
impressive.
let's go there.
Yeah, that was impressive. Okay, so as we kind of wind things down here, because I think you've given us a lot of value here, I really want to thank you for your time today. What are some things? And Julie says I have unintentionally. She's so she apparently has.
Love
Um,
that, Jill.
it's fun. It's fun. You should do it. You should do it, Asma. You should do it. Try it. It's fun. Okay.
Definitely.
um, so what are some good next steps if they want to engage with you more? Obviously, everyone who's watching, you should follow her content. What else should they do?
I have a YouTube channel.
Oh,
When I'm
good.
starting like to post like weekly videos, I call them
Okay.
Sparks series.
Oh,
So five,
nice.
6 minutes when I share different things that I'm learning and things. So I'm editing a lot of them so that way they're gonna start going weekly, starting next week. So I'm super
Oh,
excited about
good.
that.
Okay,
And I'm also very active on Instagram.
I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
Joanne. Joanne, can you look up what's the name of the channel?
Sparks, Fire and Flow Sparks.
Fire and
I did
Flow
put that link.
Sparks. Yeah. Can you see if you can find that link, Joanne? If not, then we'll ask Asma to put the link in. Okay. And you said on Instagram. What was the best way to contact you?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram as well. It's I am Asma. I'm available also on LinkedIn. So for sure.
Awesome.
And yeah, what I was gonna do, like following this conversation we were having and seeing like the much interest that it's happening, I would love to offer your audience an ebook about like how to overcome uh, your imposter syndrome and steps to build a personal brand.
Oh, I love
And
it.
so if they're interested in getting that, just DM me and I'll make sure to send it to you. I'll make it customized just because following this conversation we were having today and seeing all the interest that generates.
Very good.
Yeah.
So connect with Asma either on here on LinkedIn. We got her tagged in. If you're watching on Facebook, you can connect with her on Instagram. Is that right? Or could you have a Facebook also, or is it Instagram?
Yeah, I have Facebook
Okay,
also,
Facebook
Asma
as well.
Methqal, just my
Okay,
full name. Yeah,
awesome. And then I actually met you on Clubhouse, which is cool.
you did.
So I know you're on Clubhouse as well, at least occasionally. Do you still use Clubhouse a little bit?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I was literally in a dance party Saturday night.
Oh
Yes,
wow,
this
a
is
dance
happening.
party. That's awesome.
I was like, oh, it's 9 p.m. What should I do? I go on Clubhouse. There's someone said DJ Ice Mike, put in some music on. I start listening to the music. It was cool. They put me as a speaker, and they're like, by the way, Asma, do you want to join our Zoom live? I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we have a Zoom. Everybody's dancing.
Oh
So I
wow.
joined. I joined the Zoom, and we danced until 2 a.m. And I was
What?
like, that was my first dance party since
I
COVID.
have
This is
never
fun.
heard of that. That's amazing. So they have dance parties on Clubhouse. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I've got some great content. I met a lot of business folks like yourself, gotten great tips and tricks on how to use different things like podcasting or LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever the case is. And so that's something I haven't heard. So they're finding new and different ways to use Clubhouse, which is interesting. That's cool.
Well, at the end of the day, the way I see Clubhouse is like how we can reduce isolation.
Yes,
People just
yes.
want to connect more and everybody's at home. And so the founders of Clubhouse are very impressed. They even created a whole creative fund right now. And they said, if you are going to be creating daily shows or things that are very interesting that are happening on Clubhouse, like please do. You have like music competitions, you have music producers listening to
Mm,
talent and right there, like telling them, I'll DM you and we can talk about what we can do in the future.
wow.
You have people on podcasting world. So you have all different things and just like, yeah, everything's happening right now with like all the things that are happening in the US. Like people will create like rooms and talk about the different issues so people feel seen and heard. So I love Clubhouse just again because it creates that place for connection and sharing. And yeah, why not?
Wow,
We
that's
all need
amazing.
to dance.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So Joanne was able to find your YouTube link. She was able to find your something else here too. So yeah, some kind of forms thing. Oh, that's our forms thing. But she found your
yeah,
YouTube, and she found, it looks like your, is that the, did she find Instagram also? I can't see if she found
yeah,
Instagram.
it should be there.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
it should all be there. If not, I can. Yeah, you should have it.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
I'll put
you.
it in the chat.
Thank you for being on today. Folks who are watching, even if you're watching the replay, let us know what resonated the most with you throughout our discussion. What points did you enjoy the most? What did you like? What do you think you're going to work on? If you, in fact, if you want a little personal accountability, put it out there in the comments what you're going to work on, and we'll support you in that. So thank you for those who are watching today. We will be back next week for a Growth Monday as well. So look forward to having you back next week. And of course, tomorrow we have Talent Tuesday with Leah, live with Leah, if you're going to be able to watch tomorrow. And this week, for those of you who are recruiters, especially in the healthcare space, we're giving a special program on Wednesday afternoon. It's all about bringing those hard to fill applicants in, like registered nurses, physicians, things of that nature, how to bring them in. We're going to unleash a new report that we just came out with for recruiting registered nurses, which is it's incredible what we've been able to compile. Over 9,000 postings we analyzed over the past 12 months. And so we're going to just kind of talk about some of the things that we found in doing those reports. Claude says, love it all. Do another one. Okay. So thank you, Claude. We'll continue to keep doing it. Thank you everybody for watching,
Yes.
and feel free to say bye to our audience, Asmaa. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. I enjoyed having you. It was so much fun.
Yes. Same for
Thank you,
me.
Rollis.
No problem. Stay on just for a second here.
Of course.
I'll just double check and make sure I don't cut us off while it's still going.
I enjoyed having you.
You can cut it off now, Rob.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you.